Father, welcome to Divine Lessons, and we are still on the topic of regret. Yesterday we posted a video on what regret is, and we had some Bible references as well. So today we are going to use the story of the prodigal son to teach or learn a thing or two about regret. The story of the prodigal son are seen in Luke chapter 15, verse 11 to 32, provides profound lessons about regret and how it can lead to transformation and redemption. Here's what the story teaches about regret. So I would go through some of the things we learn from these stories. Now, one of them is acknowledgement of mistakes. The younger son's journey begins with a reckless decision to demand his inheritance and squander it on indulgence. When he faces the consequences of his actions, that is, poverty and hunger, he recognizes his mistakes. Regrets often start with an honest acknowledgement of wrongdoing, and people have such a problem with admitting or acknowledging that they have made mistakes, which has led them to a certain point in their lives. But it is when we acknowledge our mistakes that is our first step to mending our ways. So acknowledging mistakes. The next step we will also talk about in this video is humility and repentance. True regret is marked by humility. There's no two ways about that. The younger son humbles himself, realizing he has sinned not only against his father, but also against heaven. He decides to return home, not demanding restoration, but asking to be treated as a servant. This shows that regret, when genuine, prompts a willingness to make amends. It's the pride that people have, that when they sin, they have no way of bowing down in shame and in humility to amend their ways. Pride stands against regrets. It makes people get swallowed up in regret that there is no way for them to come out of their shells. Another point we would also talk about is turning back to what matters. Regret often reveals what is truly important. The younger son's regrets led him to see the value of his father's love and the life he had forsaken. He returns home not for wealth, but for reconciliation. If you try to regret something and you try to make amends, and then you have something in mind other than reconciliation, it's a mistake. This teaches that regret can redirect us to seek meaningful relationships and values. Again, one other point we can learn from the story of the prodigal son is forgiveness and restoration. The father's response shows that regret is not the end of the story. The father doesn't meet the son with condemnation, but with open arms, forgiveness, and restoration. This highlights the hope and grace that can follow regret when it is met with love and forgiveness. Again, one other lesson we can learn from the story is personal growth. The prodigal son goes through his regrets. He moves from arrogance and selfishness to humility and gratitude. This transformation shows that regret can be a catalyst for personal and spiritual growth. And those of us that follow this channel, we've talked a lot about spiritual growth. So you can watch our videos and then learn a thing or two from there. And our last lesson for today, we talk about God's unconditional love. On a broader level, the story reveals God's nature, which is love. The father's joy and celebration upon his son's return symbolize God's unconditional love and readiness to forgive anyone who truly repents, regardless of their past mistakes. The story of the prodigal son teaches that while regrets can be painful, yes, it is also a doorway to change, reconciliation, and growth. It encourages us to face our mistakes, seek forgiveness, and embrace transformative power of grace and love. On that note, we end today's lesson. I hope you enjoyed it and you learned something great from it. Till we come to your screens again, it's goodbye for now and stay blessed.
Hey, yeah.